as stupid, intelligible, and cute as Cupid. Knowledgeable, but not always right. Salvageable, and free for the night.
Well, my heart's running round like a ski-boat with a D-ba-doo. Baba-dee, baba-ski, and a beaver feeling my shoe. A Chicken with Its Head Cut Off by Magnetic Fields from their 1999 album 69 Love Songs. It's also number 465 out of 500 on the 500 with Josh Adam Myers. What's up, everybody? It's me, the King of Fleece, reigning over my Fleece army. I love each and every one of you guys, man. I say this every week, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for going through the Rolling Stone magazine list of the top 500 albums with me, because we're doing this shit together, guys, all the way until May 31st, 2028. Thank you to all the people that are doing the Instagram stories. Keep doing it. Please take a screenshot of how you're listening to the 500 and tag me at Josh Adam Myers and put a hashtag the 500 podcast. Give me a 24-hour ad on your social media, because we're getting the word out and you're helping. Today in music for July 3rd, in 1971, singer-songwriter and poet Jim Morrison of The Doors was found dead in a bathtub in Paris, France. I take a lot of baths, so I completely would be all for dying in my bathtub, because it just the soak. You zone out on your penis, going around and round, floating in the water like a majestic sea horse. You stare at that, all stress goes away. Now, I don't know if I want to die, but if I was going to choose, as long as it's not drowning, I would take it. The cause of death was given as a heart attack. He co-wrote some of the group's biggest hits, including Light My Fire, Love Me Two Times, and Love Her Madly. And on the 25th anniversary of his death, an estimated 15,000 fans gathered at Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris, France, to pay their respects. I have been to Jim Morrison's grave, and if you walk into that cemetery, people have written on all the other tombstones, "This way to Jim." It is insane, the level of disrespect that these other French motherfuckers, they ain't getting shit. They're just there for this American Jimmy dude. Did anybody ever call him Jimmy? Little Jimmy Morrison. They probably did, but yeah, so on today, he died. Isn't that crazy? I guess that's a real morbid way to start the episode, but fuck it. All right, a little bit about this record, because this was a big one, guys. This was officially one of the longest ones we've done. So let's find out a little bit about it, okay? Released on September 7th, 1999, 69 Love Songs is a concept album collection and 6 studio release, conceived, written, and mostly sung and played by multi-instrumentalist Stephen Merritt with his band, The Magnetic Fields. The 3-CD album literally contains 69 mostly short songs of almost every style of music possible. One umbrella genre given to them all was tweecore, but Merritt likes to think of the record as a variety show. Despite its title, Stephen Merritt has said 69 Love Songs is not remotely an album about love. It's an album about love songs, which are very far away from anything to do with love. There are a lot of musical and vocal contributors on this album, but the Magnetic Fields core band is Sam Duvall on flute and cello, John Woo on banjo and guitar, not John Woo, the director of Face Off. Just so everybody is clear on that. It's not that John Woo. It's banjo and guitar player John Woo. Shirley Sims on auto harp, ukulele, and vocals, and Claudia Gonson, who sings and plays piano, drums, and percussion, and is the band's manager. Shirley and Claudia, as well as Dudley Clute and LD Begtoll, sing 6 songs each on this collection. Now, obviously, we are not going to be going through all 69 songs. So what we did was we picked about 9 from the album. This album was great. Like, I remember putting it on and being like, fuck this. And then being like, a few weeks later, being like, wow. And I found a guest that is a fan of the Magnetic Fields. I threw it out there into the universe. Help me find somebody that loves this band. And I did. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest this week is my very good friend, Tony Sam. You know him from his podcast, Legally Insane, and his album, Scaredy Cat, which is hilarious. Go out and get it. And listen to the podcast as well. Tony is a huge fan of this band. I had such a good time talking about this record with Tony. Don't forget to listen to the end of the podcast where we're going to spotlight a new artist that was directly influenced by the magnetic fields. Also, rate, review, and go ahead and subscribe to the 500. Follow me at Josh Adam Myers on all social media and email the podcast at 500podcast@gmail.com. And for all things 5honey, go to our website, the500podcast.com. Well, guys, nothing left to do but say, here we go with number 465 out of 500 with 69 love songs by the Magnetic Fields.
Papa was a rodeo, Mama was a rock and roll band. I could play guitar and rope a steer before I learned to stand. Home was anywhere with diesel gas, love was a trucker's hand. Never stuck around long enough for a one-night stand.
'Cause a Tony Sam, and I'm coming like a Tony Sam. Do, do, do. And a Tony Sam, and I'm Tony Sam. Oh, Sam. Tony Sam, Tony Sam, Tony Sam, Tony Sam, Tony Sam. Tony Sam, Tony Sam. Oh,
Did you just write that?
I just wrote it.
Holy. What do you? I was like, I was like, I think I should join him. I mean, this is weird if I just look at him while he makes eye contact with me and sings to me.
You know, it's so funny. You just made me realize that I've got like Wanda Sykes sitting there, and I'm like, ooh, Wanda Sykes, Wanda Sykes. Like I'm singing September for her.
And what is she doing when
staring?
This Wait, that's crazy.
Like a murderer, yeah. No.
That's why I was like, I should do something because I've got to break the tension. Our eyes were locked. You don't understand.
All right, but no, but by doing that and having you join in immediately and knowing exactly what song I was doing means that you are a fan of this record, The Magnetic Fields. How did you first become aware of this band and specifically the album?
Well, it was a former lover.
Ooh.
My first wife, who is actually also a comedian. I'm not going to say her name, but she had amazing taste in music. And
what bands was she rocking? Like,
well, she loved, Bowie, and she just had style and good taste.
How did you get her?
Man, I don't fucking know, because I at the time when we first met, I was just getting into improv. She was in improv. And I was like still combing my hair straight back and using LA style, like handfuls of gel, just shaving my fucking hair.
90% of the Paul Mitchell being bought in the world was
that's right,
going to
but
the
that's
corner
me.
of Yucca and Argyle.
Because I have, as you know, very curly hair and
curly cues.
And I didn't know that because from childhood, my dad was like, "Boy, you got a lot of cowlicks," and I was like, "Okay."
He just called him.
Yeah, he just called it cowlicks whenever I go get my hair cut because I generally kept it short. They're like, "Well, you got an awful lot of cowlicks." They're like, "No, that's just your curly hair, you idiot." So she saw potential in me. That's what I like to think, is that she's like, I've got this raw mold of clay, and I'm going to shape it into this hipster doofus. So she bought me a whole new wardrobe, and she started just saying, just let your hair go curly and whatever and this and that. And I was like, okay. And here I am. I am what she made me today. But she introduced me.
How dull were you prior to this, though?
I wasn't dull. Like I came from the suburbs of Chicago, and everybody just you wore what your parents gave you. So I was like, well, I just got all these pants that that don't fit me necessarily well, and
oh, Mom, thanks, another pair.
Oh,
of
wow, another
maroon
extra
corduroys.
large T-shirt. Wow, a boxy extra large T-shirt.
How did you know I love Pacific Sunwear?
Massimo.
Yeah.
I had Massimo and I were tight.
So back to your girlfriend. Like, so what were you listening to prior to her introducing you
God,
to the
I'm
Magnetic
almost
Field?
embarrassed. I feel like
Hey now, you're an all-star.
No,
Get your game
no
on,
Smash
go
Mouth. I
play
loved Smashing
some.
Pumpkins. Smashing Pumpkins was my thing.
What is wrong with that?
Well, a lot of
Nothing.
people think he's whine screaming.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He is. I appreciate Smashing Pumpkins because that's the era of the music that I grew up with. But this...
Yeah, well,
this
I tried to get her to like it.
She couldn't.
We danced at our wedding to one of my favorite Smashing Pumpkin songs from the album.
Disarm.
Adore.
Oh,
it's
no.
Adore. And I can't listen to that album anymore.
Aww.
It's hard for me actually to listen to a lot of music because for me, music is tied to emotion for me for a lot
sure.
of things. So that particular album, it just makes me think of that time period in my life, and I'm just like, it was great, but also it's sad that it ended. I'm
Yeah.
a sensitive boy.
No, I know. And I mean, you were obsessed with Smashing Pumpkins. You didn't have to say that to the audience. They knew.
Right? I just
fucking
get
knew.
Billy Corgan. I mean, you can say what you want. I mean, he's fucking nuts. I think he's crazy. He's got all these conspiracy theories, but I think what a brilliant songwriter.
Brilliant. I mean, listen, I'm not going to shit on Smashing Pumpkins. Gish was incredible.
Yeah.
Siamese Dream was incredible. Melancholy and the Infinite
Siamese Dream
Sadness.
is like high school for me.
Yeah,
that
that was
defines high school.
Today, and Cherub Rock, and Disarm,
Yeah.
and Soma. Oh, Soma!
what a
dude.
great song.
I still love Soma now. So, all right, so Smashing Pumpkins, and then you meet this girl, and she says, "Here's Bowie, and here is the Magnetic
And I was like,
Fields."
wow, I didn't know any of this music. Like my brother and he listened to REO Speedwagon, and which again, like whatever you could say. I like Boston. I like Bad Company. It's just because I had older brothers and sisters. They liked all this.
Everybody,
classic rock.
90% of the guests that have come on here have all said that they got their music from their older brother or from somebody else, one of their friends' hip older brother.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm not going to ever say that about him, but my sister, she was into U2 and, we can't say his name anymore, but she liked MJ and she was probably a big Rod Stewart fan. So she would make me these mixtapes and I had lots of Billy Joel and
You're speaking my language, bro.
I was like, yeah, that's what's it, Clarence Trent D'Arby?
Sitting on a wishing well.
So she made this crazy mixtape for me. But
He said he would be bigger than the Beatles, Clarence Trent D'Arby.
oh boy,
I remember that.
well, he was right. Clearly, he was right.
He's 6'5", and all the rest of the Beatles.
Right, he was taller. He was definitely taller.
He was taller. He gained a lot of weight.
So she knew the music I liked. She's like, "Well, I've got something for you." So the album she introduced me to, it was I. So that one had just come out in the early 2000s, and so Stephen Merritt, the lead singer, he generally has a theme for all the albums, and this one was every song starts with the letter I. That was the idea, and so many of them are just words, but then some include like, or it's like it's not the letter I, but it's IYE, which is I. So that I believe counts. But the album's amazing, and I was like, wow, this guy's voice is ridiculous because it's so monotone and deep. It's like, I love to sing. It's almost like a Muppet character.
Very Muppety. Nice adjective. It's not even a word, Muppety.
Right, it's almost like the eagle from the Muppets. So it's like, you are all weird. It's if he put out an album, right? And he started singing with the ukulele. And so all the songs on there, just he's not only a great lyricist, he like the harmonies and the melodies, just they're catchy tunes, and he's so prolific. Like this guy, when he writes an album, like 69 love songs, he sat down and wrote 69 songs. He didn't write all of them, but some
He
of
had
them,
some help, but
most.
he had his hand in almost every single one of them.
Yeah, like his latest album is 50 songs. He put it out to celebrate his 50th birthday. So he started writing on his 50th birthday.
Genius.
And every year represents a different moment in his life and a different song, and it's really
So
good.
like, childbirth, I was born out of the womb.
Coming through the tunnel of light.
It's like, well, I'm still shitting my pants. I'm a 3-year-old boy.
Mama
and I'm
pooped
shitting
on
my
my head
pants.
as I came out.
Well, I got my first erection. Oh, it pointed in a direction. I say, what is my selection? I'm singing that. Come on,
Feel the noise, right? I thought you were going like, his would be more like, doctor pulled me from the room by my little dong.
And I liked it. All right, so then specific. So you immediately.
So I love that
you got
album,
one, yeah.
and then I was like, well, I want to hear more of their stuff, and so I knew that album was preceded by 69 Love Songs, and I was like, holy shit, this is really great. And if you listen to this album, you see that it's not like grouped in any particular way. You see there's lots of happy-go-lucky songs, and there's some really kind of bummer, downer, sad songs, but it, to me, reflects the course of life and how relationships are great, and then they're terrible, and then it's great again, and then, oh, shit, it's bad again, and love is ridiculous. That's why this album, it's crazy to me because we just kind of go through the motions, and we don't really sometimes think about why love is for guys. A lot of times I think it's like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, but when you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, I totally act like that all the time. And
Sure.
This guy, he put those emotions to words, and I feel like some of these songs kind of speak to me in the moments. Like this particular album, I generally listen to after a breakup. So when I split up with my first wife,
How many do you have now?
I've had 2, but that one's gone too. But the second wife hated magnetic fields because she hated his voice. She was a musical theater major, and she could not stand his voice. She'd always make fun of it. She'd be like, this guy can't sing to save his life. And I was like, really? Because he sounds like he can carry a tune to me.
But his writing is all from show tunes. Like he, especially this record, I know that he was inspired by Steven Sondheim.
Right.
And he was like, I want to write 69 songs. He wanted to write a play or a
Right.
musical, but then he was like, you know what? I'm going to write 100 songs. He goes, no, fuck that. I'm going to write 69 because 100 is a lot. And you can hear it.
And I think like on all these different levels, the album works. And that's why it's on this list, I think, because, while the Magnetic Fields aren't probably a household name.
Never heard of him before this. I honestly thought they were a band from the 60s. I thought 69 Love Songs was like, oh, this is made in 1969. I swear to God, that's what I thought.
That's funny. I try to talk to people about it, but generally no one I know has heard of them.
Yeah. So, all right. So our album is number 465 out of 500. It's the 6th album, 69 Love Songs by Magnetic Fields. Now, it wasn't released in 1969. It was released on September 7th, 1999. 30 years later, completely produced 100% by Stephen Merritt, the deep-voiced dude that you hear throughout this record. Now, there are 69 songs on this. And like I said in the intro, we are not going to go through every song. That would be, this would be a very, very long podcast. So we are going to jump into the ones that I think I enjoyed the most. And also I think are probably some of the most popular ones. Now, I did leave some in here that are stuff that I really didn't like. There's a couple in these 9. So let's dive in. So it opens with Absolutely Cuckoo. Now, my first reaction wasn't good when I first played this. That was when I was like,
Oh, that's one of my favorite songs.
I'm driving home. I love that. I'm driving home, and I'm like, well, I should start listening to this. It's 69 songs. And I was like, fuck, dude, this is some shitty band from the 60s. Like, I'm expecting it's going to be like, incense, peppermints, ripples in time. But so the first time I heard it, I didn't listen to it. It took a bunch of listens for this to click. And then it hit me that this is just a beautiful, nice love ditty on the ukulele. Peter, do me a favor, play the intro.
Don't fall in love with me yet. We only recently met. True, I'm in love with you, but you might decide I'm not. Give me a week or two to go absolutely cuckoo. Then when you see your error, then you can flee in terror.
I love that it's just him on the ukulele, but there's these really cool synth hits that accent the song throughout.
Yeah.
Now, this is the first song on the album. In about 1.5 minutes, this waltzy and lyrically claustrophobic number introduces both the heartbreaking depth and humorous self-deprecation of what's to come. So in a sense, he's just setting up the whole record, of what you're about to get in the next 68 songs. Steven sings 2 intertwining parts on the song, and according to the record's accompanying booklet, Merritt says the character being cuckoo could be multiple personalities.
That's funny.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, the way I look at that song is that it's just, when you say self-deprecating, I think, of course, as a comedian and just a person who does that, you knock yourself down because then you're like, hey, I'm not perfect, and I have flaws, and take a look at me. I'm exposing my weaknesses to you, and this particular song though is like he's acknowledging that he's kind of a wackadoo, and I guess I never thought of it as multiple personalities. I think of it as this guy just, or person, this character, I won't say guy, but just knows that they're a real fucking hot mess, and that once they sink their hands into you, good luck.
But don't you feel that, as you've gotten older, you're a little bit more, like I feel like I'm able to say, this is the crazy that's in me. I know the crazy that's in me, and I can identify when I'm wrong or when I made a mistake or when I'm right, because I know I'm like, I'm crazy, but I'm even holding back the crazy.
Yeah, I guess I acknowledge it, but I don't know that I want to fix it. I think my current girlfriend, she knows I know I'm a lot to handle, but I think if we have an understanding that she's like, I know I'm a lot to handle, I'm a lot to handle, let's find that middle ground. Like, I know I should say and do things, but I don't, because that's me. And I think that's why love is complicated, because you're like, look, this is who I am. I mean, people try to change, and you're like, well, you can change if you want to. It's like, I don't know. I try.
Yeah.
I'm just me. I can't be anyone but me, and that's because you have this lifetime. Like, the older we get, like, because we're no spring chickens, but the older we get, your life is a culmination of all your experiences, and you can't just forget about all those years of your life.
No, but you can look at them differently. You can look at them and not as such tragic. That's been a big, I talk about it a lot on here. That's been one of the best things that I've ever done, which is like, look at the past as a learning experience instead of like, I was a shitty person back then. Like, it's like, that just helped me get to being a good person now. You know what I mean? But let's take it to this. What's the most insane thing you've ever done in or after a relationship?
Oh boy. Insane. Well, you want me to set myself up?
Please.
After my second divorce, that one was pretty tough.
How long ago was this?
Jeez, it was like 7 years ago now.
Okay.
So time has passed, but it was weird, Like, I think that there was a lot of vindictive things going back and forth, and I may have taken a pair of scissors to someone's purse. And
people have done so much worse.
Yeah,
and
but
that
what
was
a
probably
crazy
out of rage. But you were probably so enraged.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what had set that off, but I had bought that purse for her on our trip to Italy, and I just was like, oh yeah, you want it? I'll give it to you. Chop, chop, chop. Like, as you're chopping, I was just like, we'll see who's laughing. But that's love does that to you. Because like the moment I did it, I was like, oh God, why did I do that? What a terrible, awful thing to do. But and guys are totally guilty of always calling their exes crazy. That's like our default thing because, I think women do tend to be more emotional, but it's because of things we did to drive them to that. So they're not crazy. We're just terrible generally. And so, but in this case, something had happened and I destroyed personal property and I don't feel good about it. The craziest you are is at the beginning and the end of a relationship.
Because you're crazy in love at the beginning,
right.
And you'll just forget about everything.
So
she could be like, I'm a Holocaust denier, and you're like, I love you,
right?
Even more. All right, that goes into track number 4. We're going to talk about a chicken with its head cut off. Now, this is my favorite song on the record.
I like this.
This song is so fucking catchy. I think it's. After listening to the full album, I think this was the best use of the medium of love with the music and his voice. I love the chorus so much. Peter, do me a favor, play the chorus.
My heart's running around like a chicken with its head cut off. All around the barnyard, falling in and out of love.
The way he sings this gives me chills. Now, this is a light country song, and according to Merritt in the 69 Love Songs booklet, there's not that many cliches left to be used as titles of country songs. So I was jokingly scraping the bottom of the barrel. First 4 lines read like a humorously self-deprecating post on dating site. Eligible, not too stupid, intelligible, and cute as Cupid. Knowledgeable, but not always right. Salvageable, and free for the night. It sounds like he just wants to hook up, especially by the bridge, which says, we don't have to be stars exploding in the night or
right,
electric
the
eels under the covers. We don't have to be anything quite so unreal. Let's just be lovers. That basically says this doesn't have to be a magical experience or anything. It can just be 2 people enjoying each other. You were a biologist before you were a professional comedian. Yeah. In your expert opinion, are humans meant to be monogamous, or shall we all just be enjoying each other?
Oh God, polyamory is the way. I think I think people aren't as specific as, species lower than us. Some of them do mate for life. And that's just hardwired into them. You don't see any deviation from that. But people are unique and different, and we're all wired differently. And I think that some people can do that. But in my experience, and this is not to crucify myself, but the most interesting people I have met are the ones who, you can love one person, but you still are able to have feelings for others.
Sure.
And I think that a lot of people don't admit that, and then they've almost created this self-imposed prison around them, and they are resentful and hateful. And as I get older, I come to terms with, I go, I choose to be in a committed relationship, but I acknowledge that I will always be attracted to other people, and that I don't know the benefit of being with someone else will destroy this thing. Is it worth leaving this beautiful thing that I have for this person that I am on a I guess primal level attracted to? So I think that it is unique to the person, but it is sometimes I think it's a choice that you could just do whatever you want, and who cares who's hurt? Or
one time a cheater, always a cheater.
Right?
If you cheat once, you'll cheat again. I've never cheated. And I think that's also what scares me about being in a relationship, because the 2 times I've been in long-term relationships, the sex got boring. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I got a beautiful girl that is literally like legs spread, like, why don't you fuck me more? And I'm just like, because I know when you poop now. I know your poop schedule, and it turned me off. You know, it's difficult.
It wasn't the poop schedule. That's
just
what that
amongst
was the thing?
many things, but that's like the first thing that I'm like. You see something that's just questions like her sexiness, like you know what I mean, or whatever it is.
Getting comfortable with someone is the major reason why everything fails. Is because the magic's gone, and you just take each other for granted. Like you're another chair here, but like that's what it is because. You just expel this person. She'll be home. She'll be home in 20 minutes, like she always is every day. And routine is what is, I think, the major killer to me. It seems like if you're always doing something different and keeping it alive, that's, you know, I've been in a few successful long-term relationships, and I think I was most unhappiest when I was single and I was just. You know, I can recall one week where there was probably like 4 different people that I had been with, but that didn't make me happy. I felt miserable that whole time because it's like, well, none of this means anything. But then when you find, for me personally, that when you find that one person, you're like, oh, wow, well, how can I keep making this new and exciting? And I think that's what the secret is.
Have you cheated before?
No.
You never cheated?
No, I was trying to think back in my youth, but no, I generally thought it was more respectful to if I had feelings for other people and then I broke it off. It's like, look, I don't think this is working. And then you pursue that. Like if you meet someone and you make an emotional connection and you realize, oh shit, I like this person, and then you break things off first, I think that's more respectful.
For sure. But a lot of people don't do that because they don't want to be alone. You know what I mean? They don't know if this other one's going to work out, and so they just...
Right, well, you've got a safety net.
Yeah, exactly. It's a safety net. I'm finally okay with being alone. I'm lonely right now, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I want to have sex. I wish I had a girl that I could just... Because I don't have anything. And I'm not saying I could... If I go out and try, I could find it. But it's like, this is probably the most... I have no prospects. No seeds are planted. You know?
You're probably getting a lot done.
Oh, you hear how in-depth I am about a magnetic field record?
That's right.
What the fuck, dude?
No, the times in my life when I accomplished the most is when I was alone. Because, but you take the good with the bad, right? A relationship.
Sure.
You want to be in it, but you're also, you're like, oh, well, I could be doing these things, but I'm enjoying being with this person, so I guess it's okay. I've been cheated on, and I think it's the worst feeling in the whole world.
Horrible feeling, yeah.
Because this betrayal and this denial and this loss, and you still have these weird feelings for this person, but you're like, oh God, they destroyed me. Why would I want to be with this person? So, yeah, it's interesting that people have different views. Like some people just can't be with one person, and I see why. You know, like we live in a society where we want instant happiness, and we're just living in the moment. This whole living in the moment and the YOLO hashtag shit. It's that people just care about themselves, and I think it's kind of selfish a little bit to want to just keep jumping around and not finding a meaningful connection.
I completely agree. All right. Let's go into I Don't Want to Get Over You. It's track 6, and I love this upbeat little ditty. Now, when the song first started, I thought this was going to be like a John Mellencamp song, but then that weird synthesizer or guitar effect kicked in. And lyrically, it's about holding on to the pain of a breakup when that's all that's left of the relationship. It's intellectualizing remedies for the grief while not wanting to let go of the hope of love the ex represented. You were talking about his lyrics earlier. This is, I don't know, man. This is the one that stuck out to me so much, where he says, I could listen to all my friends and go out again and pretend it's enough, or I could make a career of being blue. Favorite line is right here. I could dress in black and read Camus, smoke clove cigarettes and drink vermouth. I love that. Giving given an existential
He's a
French
wordsmith.
philosopher. Out, Camus. I love that. I love when there's something that I catch something that's intellectual because that happens never because of my dumb
That's
brain.
a great lyric. I think a lot of times when a relationship explodes in your face, people choose to. They're like, I want to be sad for a living. I wish this paid money because I would be sad for a few weeks if it paid. Right? Like, what is
you
being?
need me to lay in my comfy clothes
Like,
on my couch?
go to work in bed.
Well, this is ultimately about letting go. What are you unwilling or incapable of letting go?
Like being wrong.
Is that's you can't let go of that?
I generally don't like to be wrong. I don't know what it is. If it's just because I like to read and know about things, or I'm just stubborn.
You think you're just intellectually superior than most
Well,
people?
no, I try to. It's like in a relationship argument. I just can't let go. I know, and I'm not even sure that I'm right. I want to be right, and then I'll apologize later. But I just can't sometimes not let go of being right all the time.
What's the biggest thing where looking back now, when were you wrong? You were wrong, but you fucking fought it out.
Oh boy, that's a good one.
Thanks, man.
Well, one of the things that I kept saying up and down is we were moving out of our apartment. We were getting a home. We purchased a home, which is something I never thought I'd be able to do in LA, but we
Congrats.
figured it out. And
Boyle Heights, I mean. LA, I mean, motherfucker.
It's LA.
You're not in Bel Air.
It's LA.
It's a coming up neighborhood.
Oh boy, we've got a restaurant. Well, I was afraid. I didn't want to do it, and I just thought that it would. I thought it would be this colossal ordeal that, would be a mistake. Like, it's a big commitment, and we're not married, but we are house married, and I kept pushing back. I was looking for things that were wrong with everything in the houses because I was afraid to do it. And I just kept saying the house that we ended up getting, I was just looking for a reason for it not to work. And I kept arguing, saying, this is going to be a disaster. We're going to regret this. And I think it's going to be so much of a headache and so much work. And she just kept assuring me that it wouldn't. And I was like, I'm going to tell you so. You'll see. You'll see.
Famous
and then
last words.
And then we did it, and it wasn't bad. It's look, there's a lot of responsibility, but I mean, it's pretty cool. And she was right. Like, for all the things that may have happened, that we've had a couple of things we've had to fix, but it wasn't the end of the world, and we've made it work for a year and a half now there. And I think that I just need to chill the fuck out.
That's it, dude. All right, fun little fact about the song. Steven is quoted saying, this song would never have been written if I'd had a smartphone at the time. I would have Googled the title, seen that Waylon Jennings had already used it, and never written the song.
Oh,
that's really
shit.
cool. Yeah, so thank God. All right, let's pretend we're bunny rabbits. Track 9. You mentioned that you enjoy this. Thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, let's just fuck all the time.
Yeah, dude.
That's really a song about fucking.
I know. And now that's like he said, this is what I love about this album. Every song is almost just a different genre. And I don't know what this is called, maybe synth pop with British and a 1950s doo-wop vibe. Peter, play the chorus.
Let's pretend we're bunny rabbits. Let's do it all day long. Let Adam's rabbits and carrots say Mother Nature's wrong.
Over just a drum machine and lo-fi synths, Merritt sings about enticing an absent lover into wild animal desires.
Animal sex.
And he just says it. He takes it and he says, let's do it the cute way. Painfully cute bunny rabbits. Just, Just fucking
Well,
like,
bunny rabbits,
they fuck a lot. I know.
it's a lot of hip thrusts, like fast and hard.
Yeah.
It's not cute. They're cute.
They're cute.
But
That's
the
what I meant.
sex act, it's violent. It's got that kind of wall of sound to it.
Yeah, it's definitely Phil Spector. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I didn't want to call it doo-wop, but you could take this song, and this I think is like the Ronettes. The Ronettes could sing this song. Do you know what I mean? Like Diana Ross, like the early stuff. You know?
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
It's just got this 1950s like soul vibe. The mention of putting on bunny suits is apparently homage to the artist Nayland Blake, who uses bunny suit imagery to represent the perceived stereotype of male homosexual promiscuity. What is your sexual spirit animal and why?
Well, you know, some people are like dynamos in the sack, and I generally I don't know if this makes me desirable, but as I've gotten older, I kind of want to just get through it. I get so tired. I know I like sex. I know I want to have sex, but like just I want to cuddle and lay there and rest. It's physically tiring.
It is.
It's a lot.
It's sex.
It's
a
a lot.
A lot of hip thrusting. It's a lot of, you gotta like pivot. You
Pivot?
You gotta like bury your feet down.
That's right. You have to find that perfect. You have to link legs like pretzels, and just get that perfect leverage going on.
I've actually never had sex, so you're explaining
You're like,
it. Pretzel.
holy wow!
We got a pretzel on legs.
Go on, dipping sauce. Oh yes. Jeez, I guess.
So what would you say? You just want to
I'm
over with.
a bear.
You're a bear, really? Bears? I mean, no, they're slower. You know what I mean? More
Slow lumbering.
slow lumbering. You.
Clumsy. Sloppy. I'm like a bear going through a dumpster.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Finding treats. I get it.
No,
Yeah.
a bear at a campground dumpster.
What is
That's
this?
why it's like just tearing through.
What is this?
At least I find like a half-drunk 2-liter bottle. I just
What the fuck is Shobani? I'm gonna eat it.
half-eaten corn in the cob. Blah blah blah. Rotten hot dogs.
All right, next one is probably the biggest hit from the album, The Book of Love. Just lovely. Steven and his guitar. Play the intro, Peter.
The book of love is long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing.
What I found was that he's basically saying that love is not something that should be examined academically and pulled apart, but rather treated as the magic that it is. That's what I got from this. Now, what's the most magical experience or moment you've had in love?
Well, I look back and it was probably in my mid-20s, and it was, I won't say who it was with, but this particular person, I lived in Chicago, and I had an apartment that had a rooftop that you could get up on top of, and it stared at downtown. And I was like, hey, we should I got all these blankets. We'll take these pillows, and we'll make this bed up on the rooftop. And we just sat out there all night, and then we slept on the rooftop. And pretty sure we made love on the rooftop. And in the morning, the dawn was coming up to see the sun rise behind downtown, and just look over and like, I'm on the rooftop with this person. And it just was this moment that was out of a movie. And I think about that in my head a lot, because it's like, you know, what a storybook thing, like these two 20-year-olds are in love and on a rooftop, and it just was so picturesque and just cinematic that it's one of those things that I still think about.
Oh, dude, you were talking earlier about music takes you back. Like one of my favorite memories was there was a girl I met at this rave, and we had, she came to my house one weekend, and and we just stayed in the basement and fucked, and it was just great. And like, I'm 19 years old, and then the next weekend was her birthday, and like we had this whole weekend planned, and we partied at the rave all night and danced, probably took ecstasy and drugs, and then we get in her car and she's driving back to where my parents live, because that's where I was living at the time, and that's where we were gonna stay. And it's dawn. It's always got to be dawn.
Yeah.
The sun's coming up, and Radiohead's "Let Down" is playing in the background, and we're on the GW Parkway, so we're like literally on the water, on the Potomac, and there's Washington, D.C., and it's, the monuments, and just hearing "Let Down" and like holding her hand and looking at her. That was like Lisa Lichtenstein. If you can find this girl, I have looked and looked and looked. She was so great. And then we probably broke up like a week later. but it was like such a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And I hear "Let Down" and I immediately feel that. And this song is, it's, so you're talking about how that scene's like a movie. This song is also not just, a perfect song about love, but it's a perfect song for a movie. Peter Gabriel was so impressed with this that he chose to record it. He covered it on his 2010 orchestral covers album, Scratch My Back, and it was also featured in the 2004 film Shall We Dance, amongst numerous television shows. All right, where are we? When my boy walks down the street. You have any thoughts?
Yeah, there's a really great line in this that I really like. It's, maybe he should be illegal. He just makes life too complete. I just like the fact that you think someone's so perfect that they're so great that they can't possibly be real or exist. And I like that. I just like that line a lot. This whole song is basically about thinking. It seems like an infatuation from afar. You really like this person. They don't even know yet that you've worked out in your mind that, oh God, I'm gonna totally marry this dude. And I like that this is 1999. He's talking about marriage with this young hot boy.
Yeah.
So it's prophetic.
Sure. Now, excluding anything to do with the meaning of the song, as far as the musical sound of this song, I didn't really like it. It was kind of repetitive, but it also had a little catchiness to it.
It's
and
simple.
It's weird. As I write these reviews, I write them and then I make a couple more passes, and then I'm like, fuck, man, I actually like this. I did like it when the music drops out.
I like the bridge.
It's just Steven's voice and the synths. This reverb-drenched tribute to 60s girl group, the Shangri-Las, was also influenced by the music of the 80s Scottish band Jesus and Mary Chain, as well as 80s Los Angeles Paisley underground band, the 3 O'Clock. And just like classic songs by those 60 girl groups, that this objectifies the subject with a wide-eyed teenage perspective of love. The difference is that this song is from a gay man to his passive object of desire. And where those girl groups used to innocently sing about getting married because they couldn't sing about having sex, the same thing happens here. In the record's booklet, when asked if the line, "and he's going to be my wife," was a gay marriage statement, Stephen Merritt said, "Well, I suppose it is." So he is ahead of his time. Mm-hmm. When do you think you lost your innocence? Good one,
What
Morty.
a transition.
I know. Well, no,
Anyways, when do you think you lost your innocence, assuming that I have? Well, I guess I think...
And it doesn't have to be sexual.
No,
like,
I get it. I think it's probably when you experience your first heartbreak. Your first major heartbreak is, if we're talking about love and innocence, I feel like when you first are in relationships, you think that this is never going to end. This is perfect. This is forever. And then it just blows up in your face and you're like, oh, well, life is garbage, right? So I think the first major breakup I had, I I kind of realized at first I was going to marry this girl in college. She was my high school sweetheart, and we stayed together through college. And I was like, well, I have to get married to this person. And I was like, wait a minute. No, I don't. I don't have to do this. This is what life or society has told me what to do. And I guess I don't have to be with this person. And so that one, I don't think that didn't change my perspective because I was the breaker-upper. But when my first marriage fell apart, it wasn't on my terms. And I think that's when I started to question whether or not marriage was for me. And if, you're supposed to love one person your whole life, but I think a loss of innocence could be applied to many things.
Many, many things.
Yeah, so I guess in my head I'm trying to I guess get on board with what the idea of innocence is. Like, I was it when I was in a utility storage room off of the building that we lived on top of with this girl, like just making out by the lawnmowers. Like, did I lose my innocence then? Was I becoming a young man because I had boners when I woke up all the time? Or is it like when I lost my virginity, is that your loss of innocence when you lose your virginity? Because I didn't have conventional sex my first time. I dated this girl. She was Polish from Chicago, Catholic, who thought vaginal sex was a sin. So the first time we had sex, I stuck it in her ass.
Wow.
So that's my first experience with
like,
it. I was like, holy smoke, this is real tight.
Your dick feels like warm pierogi.
Like klotchki.
Just
Klotchki in my dupa.
I'm on my period, so there'll be borscht everywhere. Sorry.
Tiny bouja.
I literally just had a Polish restaurant in New York City. So
a smorgasbord?
I'm going to...
the old Warsaw?
Give me some beef. Give me your beef stroganoff.
That's what we called that sex move, too, the old Warsaw.
So you had your first sexual experience.
Yeah, I stuck it right in her pooper.
And, was it great?
Well, I remember what an ordeal it was because...
How old are you?
I was 17.
Okay, good age.
And my family, no one was home. And so...
That'd be weird if they were.
It's like
your mom's downstairs crafting.
Keep it down!
And you're just like...
Papa, it's going in her butt. So no one was home. I made sure I locked all the doors and windows, and I just wanted to make sure nothing would interrupt this. And so we did it, and I was like, well, hey, this sex stuff is pretty good. I don't know if this is how it always is, because I never did it. So my brother came home in the middle of it, and he's pounding on the door because I locked it in a way the deadbolt, he didn't have a key.
The front door, not the bedroom door, right?
Right, the front door of the house. He's like, what the hell? Let me in the goddamn house. And I was almost finishing, and I had to see it through.
Yeah, of course.
And so afterwards, she runs in the bathroom, and I hear all the noises coming out of there because of, the nature of the side effects of certain sex acts. And so I'm running to clean myself up, pull my pants on, and go run and get the front door. And my brother's like, what the fuck? What are you doing in here? And I go, nothing. Bee's here. Her name was Beata. I won't say her full name, but we don't talk anymore, no. So it's okay. But he's like, oh.
He knew?
I see. Because she's coming out of the bathroom, and we're the only two home. He's like, cool. Okay. And that was all we talked about.
You smell like budussy, by the way.
It smells like a butthole.
It smells like a budussy up in here. Butthole and pussy.
And so a few times afterwards, because she still was anti...
Vaginal, yeah.
We did
Just had butt sex.
And I was like, okay, I guess this is...
Good. You know what? You could give her props. B, you're fucking dope. Instead of just being like, no, we're not doing anything. She was like, I just used my ass. She's like,
right?
I'm saving my pussy.
Which is also such a ridiculous idea that's better than...
it's not.
Are you kidding me?
It's my...
I mean, I like the loophole as a teenage kid. I was like, okay, sure.
Dude, my first butt sex experience, the girl shit on me. Like when we were doing reverse cowgirl and my dick came out.
What, did you guys eat Mexican food
slapped.
before
No,
you did?
we didn't. I don't know what she ate, but it was nutty. But my dick comes out of her ass. She went too high, and do you know how your dick like thuds on your chest? Well, as soon as it came out and it thudded on my chest, and just something hit me right in the side of my face, and then I looked down and there was like shit, and that wasn't the first sexual experience, but that was my first butt sex experience.
Jesus.
So. I mean, and she was like 19. Kitty was like 19 years old, maybe 20. So, I mean, she should have known at that point if she was like, because remember I asked her, I was like, I've never had anal sex before. She's like, well, we can do it. So she had done it. She should know.
The age of innocence.
I know, man. That definitely, that shit ran out.
Yeah, I feel
Literally.
I guess I did lose my innocence when I stuck it in my high school girlfriend's asshole.
Fucking big ups to B.
Well, she definitely did. Lost her innocence, but I did too, perhaps.
Were you the first person she had butt sex with?
I guess I never asked, but she did offer it up, so maybe I wasn't.
Who knows? She probably excited. She was like, "Yeah, let me put it in my ass, easy fix." And you're like, "You've done this before."
I know. Looking back, it seems like such a strange thing, but at the time, I was just so delighted to have a sexual experience.
Anything.
I was like, okay, sure. Here? All right.
Let me put a chair in front of the door,
Right?
just in case.
Like
Just so
bolting the windows and doors shut.
Is there a storm coming?
Also-
sodomy.
Right. Also, we should keep this a secret forever. Oh, okay.
All right, Papa Was a Rodeo. I do love this song. I love his voice. There is so much depth to it, and it's just, regardless of how the song sounds, he's making everything sound very, very heavy. Peter, play minute 4, second 36.
Before you kiss me, you should know Papa was a rodeo.
There is something about Steven and Shirley Sims singing together that was just so nice. And I really did enjoy this song, especially just sitting here with you. It just made me realize like how good this song and this album is. Now, this is considered to be the most popular song on this set, and Merritt has referred to writing it in the style of a classic Nancy Sinatra and Lee Hazelwood duet. It's a melancholy, countrified narrative story song that starts off sounding like it's going to be all tears in your beers. In Merritt's trademark deadpan, deeper bass than Johnny Cash voice, he warns a lady about Mike, about how unreliable he is and how it could never work out. But then the last verse, which is the one we were talking about, looks back at the wonderful 55-year relationship they've shared. And when Shirley Sims comes in, which is my favorite part, in the last chorus to explain that their romantic longevity was due to their similar family dynamic, it provides a surprise happy ending, which, like I said, it's my favorite part. I really do enjoy that. Speaking of family bonds, okay, how did your parents react when you told them that you were leaving molecular biology and all the years you studied to become a stand-up comedian?
That's a great question. So this song, to me, it makes me think about my relationship with my dad, and I'll get to the specific answer to the question. But my dad, we had a very strange relationship when I became into, I guess, adulthood. So when I was in college, my junior year, I found out that he was stealing my tax returns, and he opened up credit cards in my name and maxed them all out. And so when I caught him doing this, he denied it, and then of course I had proof, and then he threw me out of the house. And so when I hear this song, I think about, like, obviously this father kind of, the way they describe it to me, it seems like he just was out of the picture kind of thing. And that's maybe that's not what he intends in the song, but that's what I hear. And so it makes me think of that. And so I had a really strained relationship with my dad. So for a few years, once I graduated college and actually returned to Chicago from Florida, I acted as though he was dead and I didn't speak to him. And we had kind of a reconciliation. When I started going into comedy, I started taking classes at IO. And in the course of my first level at Improv Olympic in Chicago, my dad killed himself. And so he never knew about really the comedy stuff that I wanted to do. Like, we had spoken maybe briefly about it in the time we met to reconcile, but I think about it and I'm like, my dad never knew this part of me, and it's sad. And the fact that I can talk about this now, I didn't talk about it for a long time, and nobody knew that this was the case with me, but as I've gotten older, I've been able to talk about it and open up because of all our friends who have committed suicide.
Sure.
And I think that it's important to talk about it and open, especially because Brody's thing hit me pretty hard.
Yeah.
But so that, I wonder what he would have thought, what he really would have thought about me choosing to just totally change my life course. My mom, of course, she was like, honestly, I just want you to be happy. So my mom is the greatest woman in the world because she never doubted for a second. She's like, you got to do it. And when I moved out to California, she was like, I know you can do it, and I want you to do it, and I just want you to be happy. Now, with that said, every time we talk, she's like, you always have your degree to fall back on. And when she says it, though, my degree sounds like a sword that I should just fall through and just, like kamikaze or whatever the term for self falling on my degree is. But she likes to keep reminding me that I always have that, and I'm like, it's been a long time, so I can't.
Yeah,
but she has
you quit one day and you're just like, I'm back.
But I just showed like, I think this will help. I'm unrolling it. You guys can't see. I'm unrolling my degree for the potential. It's like, I believe this should cover it. It's like, oh, welcome aboard. You've got a degree. You haven't practiced in 15 years, but come on in.
You want to go handle that cancer specimen over there?
Yes, I can solve the cancer.
Yeah, my mom was very much like that too. My dad was too, but my dad never did anything, steal from me. I stole from my dad. I lost my dad's, love many, many times, or at least that's the projected feeling I got from it at the time, where I was like, well, he's mad at me again. But my dad didn't get to see any of the success. He died before anything really popped, but he did get to see me happy with a girl that had gotten my life together. And, right before he died, he told me like, how proud he was of me. And cause he had gotten sick and then we had a month and then he died. So it was like that month, without that month, cause he had an aneurysm in his heart. And if that would have killed him, oh my God, all the unanswered questions and just all that shit I'd be still wearing. But have that month with him, it really, really helps. So I can relate to that because I didn't have a very good relationship with my dad. But my mom is she's a G, dude. She's bailed me out. How many times? Car got booted. You know what I mean? My mom would go, oh my God, why are you asking me again? After this, Joshua. After this, the bank is closed. The bank is closed. And then 3 weeks later, I'm like, Ma, I was like this. I just got this ticket. Oh my God. What do you think I've got? This is all I've got. All right, how much do you need? The bank is closed. All right, we didn't get to cover every song. So do you have any of your favorites? You mentioned one off air.
Yeah, I Think I Need a New Heart.
Peter, play a little bit of I Think I Need a New Heart.
I think I need a new heart. Oh, I think I need a new heart.
It's such a great song. Why is that one of your favorites? Just, I don't know if you have any.
Because I think in the lyrics he says I think he feels broken because if I recall correctly, that he keeps falling in love and he doesn't know if his heart's working the right way because he think he loves multiple people. Is that?
So here's what it is. Merritt endearingly embraces both his vocal limitations as well as his limitations as a partner that can't seem to move beyond good intentions. Such a good fucking song, dude. I have a question for it if you want to do it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. What are the best, worst things about you?
I'm very particular. Things have to be a certain way. I feel like to where it's annoying. I have to make sure I'm a perfectionist that like if my girlfriend tries to cook, I have to come in and be like, no. I have to do this. I have to make it right. I have to make it look like the picture that I've wanted to eat this food. So I have to garnish it in the correct way. And you can't do this right because I need to see it the way I want to see it, and it has to be perfect. And it's a weird quirk.
It's a very weird quirk. Does it go into comedy? I mean, does it go into your working relationship with others in entertainment?
I love collaborating with people. I do, I do see things a certain way, and I know that when I've worked on different productions where you have to collaborate and you have to be willing to let go of the things you believe in because, if your boss thinks differently, then you think differently too. And if you want to keep working anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, there's been things I've just been unwilling to give up with, and I bite my tongue, and then I'll go into the next room and I'll scream into my sweater and be like, all right, well, I guess no one knows my brilliance. And it's fine. You get over it.
Whatever you want, John Mulaney. Sure, dude.
I've had to just let some brilliant sketches I believe are brilliant, just because either the network or the bosses were just like, yeah, we can't use this, so you need to come up with something else. And I'm like, well, I don't think anything else is better than this. But you realize that over time, the whole experience in the job, it wears you to a point where you can deal with that, and you know that, okay, don't be a fucking baby. You're around other adults, and you can work with others, and I like being a baby sometimes, and it's being a little baby is it's irritating, but I can think of worse things. I'm not violent.
Do you like if you pitch something and they do something else? Do you want that other thing to fail so you can be shown that you were right?
Yes,
yeah, of course.
I don't want anyone to laugh at that other idea because it's terrible in comparison to mine. When you pitch an idea, like if you're going to the network or you're pitching something and you believe in it, and your heart and soul is in it because it's right. And then when someone doesn't get it, I have had to work on not like showing it on my face, being like, what the fuck is with you? Are you stupid? Yeah. What don't you get about this thing that is I've clearly explained to you, and you're asking questions that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's like, who cares what his mom did? I'm telling you, this is the core character, whatever. And I've tried to not wear my emotions on my sleeve. That's another thing. If that's one of my worst qualities, like, what I'm thinking generally at any second because you can see it on my face that, oh, I don't like this. He clearly doesn't like
hide
this.
it at all.
Whenever it's weird because whenever I get pictures taken of me doing stand-up, it always looks like I'm angry, but I'm just probably in the middle of a character, but I'm like, oh man, maybe I'm just angry all the time on my face when I'm on stage. Even though it's going well, maybe I hate everything.
All right, do you want to do some facts?
I love to.
I think I need some new
facts.
Oh yeah,
I need some new facts.
This record was originally conceived as a Broadway musical of sorts, like we said earlier, after Merritt sat in a gay piano bar in Manhattan listening to pianists play songs by the prolific composer, like I said, Stephen Sondheim. He wanted to write 100 songs in every style of music he could think of before settling on 69. What is the biggest undertaking you've attempted or want to?
Well, my first comedy album was a pretty big, long build up to get to that point to where I felt confident I had an hour's worth of material. And setting it up, I did it at Acme in Minneapolis with Mary Mack, who is one of my favorite people. And just to have that fruits of my labor, I've got a physical copy of an album that no one can ever take that away from me. Just what it took to get from it seemed like 10 years of my comedy career to create this thing. Like some people, hey, I've been doing comedy 2 weeks. I should put an album out.
Yeah, I know a few of those people.
I was like, I want to do it.
They didn't sell well, just to let you know.
No.
Like the end story for that person is...
Right? I don't know if they're doing comedy anymore.
People put like quotes, like what they think of like their comedy record, and it's like, Bill Burr said...
So I waited a long time because I wanted every joke on that album to be
fire,
solid.
yeah.
And, I've never been more proud of that thing. Scaredy Cat, buy it on iTunes or whatever.
Yeah, get
Apple
it, everybody.
platform. But the thing I'm working
Listen
on
to
now
it on Spotify.
Was based. So it's actually this story moves into the next. But that album, the cover art, I met this guy who was working at Disney, and he did a lot of show posters for this show I used to do called Part 2, the sequel show, and I loved his style. And so he did the album art on my comedy album, and I was big into Where the Wild Things Are. And the album was about everything I was afraid of, and I kind of just thematically had pieced it together that way. So I was like, man, that would make a really great animated kids show. And so for the last few years, we've been working on creating this concept and the pilot and the show Bible, and we have all this stuff together, and we've just recently been pitching it, and I've put my heart and soul into this fucking show, which I think is a no-brainer. It's so good to me, and we're gonna pitch it at Netflix soon. But
Fingers crossed, man.
We've pitched it to a bunch of places, and I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. And if it doesn't happen,
you're just gonna go, these fucking idiots, of course.
No.
I've got perfection here.
Well, that's interesting because I've thought about, like, I think I will be okay because I've literally tried to do everything I can to make this happen. I've told my partner, I was like, no one can ever say that we didn't try, and I know that that's a shitty thing to tell people.
No, you have to. It's you have
but
to
I
put
know,
your heart into it.
I know that I fucking tried everything I could to make this, and even if these studios, they don't want to make it, I will find a fucking way to make this thing because
you're gonna do it.
I know that they are wrong.
No, you're gonna do it. Good for you, man. Speaking of that, one of the musical contributors on this and other Magnetic Fields albums is Daniel Handler on accordion and keyboards. Although he also wrote the liner notes and interviewed Merritt for the re-release of the 69 Love Songs box set, Handler is better known for writing the 13-book series, A Series of Unfortunate Events, under the
Lemony
pseudonym
Snicket.
Lemony Snicket. Both epic collections were started around the same time.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. What is your hidden talent?
Well, I have to pull my pants down.
All right. Keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is.
Secret talent. I think people don't realize I know I have a kind of a silly voice, but I actually am a pretty good singer.
You have hit all the notes and you've been on key
I was
the whole
told
time.
I had perfect pitch by my musical theater ex-wife, which she would never say that for most people, but she was very perceptive to things that were in tune, and she was like, "Wow, you have perfect pitch." I was like, "Oh, well, how about that?" It's like, even though you hate the magnetic field.
All right, final fact. Merritt suffers from hyperacusis, which is an oversensitivity to certain frequency ranges of sound. So the band plays at a low volume live, which adds to the intimacy of the performances, which I am... have you seen him live?
I have in Chicago. I know that he won't play percussion. A lot of times they will just not play any percussion because it hurts. I think it's his
ears. Yeah,
it's one ear. It's one ear specifically. I think it might be his right.
My sister used to have that, I think. What are you most sensitive to?
Honestly, when people start talking about their dads, at this point in my life, because I haven't had a dad since I was, I guess, 25 is when he did it. It's been 17 years now, and it still hits me. I see my girlfriend with her dad, or I see other people talk about their dad, and it's like this hole that I can never fill because I just don't have that. I don't have a dad. I can't, I lost him in probably one of the most important points of my life, where you're a young man starting out and trying to figure life out, and so I didn't have that, and I'll never be able to get that back. And so that is just this raw thing that like every mother, because he died on Mother's Day, so every Mother's Day I'm a mess. But whenever I hear anyone talk about their dad, I just start to well up.
No, I get it. No, I don't.
Make a joke.
Cut this part out.
We're all crying.
No, it's beautiful, man. I get it, but I don't have anything to say because I can empathize with you, man.
Oh, that's what this album is great and worthy of being on a list like this because of look at the discussion that it spawned. If an album can make you feel things and relate to it in ways you don't think about, but when you just let yourself go and be absorbed into an album like this, you're like, oh wow, this is powerful stuff. And maybe it's not as well known as a lot of the other albums on this list, but I think that it is a work of art. It is truly a genius gift that more people, I hope, can listen to.
No, and I think people did. I was going to ask you your final thoughts, and you just fucking nailed it on the head with this, because I couldn't agree with you more. So it's a great record, and dude, you were fucking phenomenal. I didn't want this to end. So thank you for coming on, brother.
It was great. Thanks for having me.
Time stands still, all I want is the
Tony Sam, ladies and gentlemen. What a great episode. If you want to find Tony Sam on Instagram and Twitter, find him at Tony Sam. I'm going to spell it because it's spelled weird. TOEKNEESAM. So like toe, like on your foot, knee, like on your leg, and Sam, like your Sam. Listen to his podcast, Legally Insane, anywhere you get your podcasts, and get his album, Scaredy Cat, on all platforms. Put it on right now. I'm posting his mixtape track listing link. It's going to be on the website, along with everybody's mixtape. All my guests have made a mixtape for you, and you can find everything 500 at the500podcast.com. Email the podcast at 500podcast@gmail.com, and follow moi on all social media at Josh Adam Myers. Please subscribe to the 500 on your favorite platform, and if you're listening on Apple iTunes, leave us a review. Be nice to me. Come on, man. Hook a brother up. Follow my writer, DJ Morty Coyle, and check out his Instagram page where him and his daughter sing a lot of songs at B and Daddy Cartoons. Now, we just listened to Magnetic Fields from 1999. Now, here is an artist that is directly influenced by this album, and I really like this song. This song is Dog Inside a Car by the band Fell Runner. Check them out on our website. We'll be posting there. And if you're in a band and were directly influenced by one of these albums or artists and you want your music featured on the 500, send your song to 500podcast@gmail.com and make sure you put the album and artist that influenced you in the subject line. Trust me, guys, I'm trying to help you out. So send me your music. I will play it to the world. Next week is Def Leppard week with their 1987 hit factory, Hysteria. Most of you have already heard this, but if you haven't, even if you have, do your fucking homework. Stay fleecy, y'all.
I tried to speak my mind, but the words don't take flight. Try to run free in the streets, but the leash is too tight. Try to make sense of what people say, but everyone seems so much brighter than me.